Hey everyone, welcome to Group Text. For me to say that my guest today has no filter, well, that's a big statement from me, which is why we love her so much. After slaying fierce competition 10 years ago on season 6 of RuPaul's Drag Race, Bianca Del Rio took her tiara and conquered the world. She's now embarking on her sixth comedy tour, Dead Inside. She's now embarking on her sixth comedy tour, Dead Inside, with 60 stops across the U.S. and Canada. You can visit thebiancadelrio.com for tickets. She promises to pull no punches, talking about pop culture, political correctness, current events, cancel culture, and everyday life. Let's start before your makeup starts to run. Bianca, we have been trying to make this work for a while.
No, and I'm so glad it happened because, it was literally 10 years ago that I was with you and your mom on In Bed with Joan. And I have not seen you since in person or chatted with you, but I've seen all of the stuff that you've been doing. You've been busy. I've been on the road yelling at people, and now we're meeting up again. It's like kismet. It was meant to be.
You knew from the moment our eyes locked
yes
that this particular thing would happen. We both had that moment, and I thought to myself, God, one day when I have a podcast,
yep,
I know we'll be together again.
Well, it's so crazy to me. It's that, first of all, to think that all of that was 10 years ago, which is absolutely insane, how quickly time flies. And I remember old people used to say, time flies, time flies. Well, now I'm that old person going, fuck, where does the time go? So it is wild to think that it was 10 years ago. But then other parts of me, it's like, it was just yesterday. It's that weird thing that plays into your head, and mainly because I drink. So the balance is kind of off as it is. But I still can't believe that happened so long ago. And you and your mom were so generous and so kind. And I had a blast that day, which was so much fun. And I still, to this day, get people that come up to me and they go, that episode with you, Melissa, and Joan is the funniest thing. And I'm like, how great that it lives on, how fortunate.
So, but you just mentioned drinking, day drink,
yes,
or just evening drink, or more of a 24/7 cycle.
Girl, I'm from New Orleans. I drink when I'm thirsty. I drink when I'm thirsty. So you start with whatever works, and then you try to make sense of it. You're like, okay, I'll have a glass of wine. Or you're like, well, ooh, it's a brunch drink. You just drink when you need it. And that's what gets you through life. I mean, look at the choices I've made. I need to fucking drink. Look at this. Look at this. No right-minded person, no right-minded individual would choose this life, Melissa. So this is what it is.
I love that you're so committed. So a few years ago,
I should be committed.
Oh, God, on so many levels. But the nice thing is, I always say to people, why would you want to go to heaven when clearly all the people you want to hang out with are going to be in hell?
Isn't that the truth? And when you get to hell, I'm going to be the bitch in a red dress with the wristband saying, come this way, come this way, come this way. It's not that hot. It's not that hot. Yeah.
You know what? We'll find some air. There's a breeze. It's like the desert. It's a dry heat. That bullshit.
There'll be lots of shade. I guarantee it. Lots of shade.
That dry heat bullshit.
I live in Palm Springs. I know it.
Okay, well, then you are psychotic, whatever. I went to a wedding.
Wait, you can't handle it? You can't handle the dry heat?
I went to a wedding once in Palm Springs, and they had, which supposedly to make it tolerable, misters. Well, you ask a girl before she had a keratin treatment to go stand
amongst the
mister. Yeah. I would rather have good hair and sweat.
That would be a great book title for you. Melissa, Amongst the Mist. That's genius. That's genius.
It's too little with gorillas in the mist. And I spent plenty of... again, short and swarthy, so much of my money has gone to lasers and waxing. I don't need to be gorilla.
You don't need to be
mist.
bothered. I got it.
In all seriousness, though, New York Magazine called you the most powerful drag queen in the world, and the New York Times likened you to my mother. First, just, you know what? Back off and get your own act. Let's just start with that.
Well, you know what? Nastiness, hatefulness, and truth is not something that's stolen from anyone. That's just the facts. And I think that's why I appreciated your mother. I mean, there's enough drag queens I know that dress up as your mother, which is insane. But I took it as a huge compliment, is that they would even mention me and her in the same sentence, So that I thoroughly enjoyed. But I do appreciate the fact that, there is a place for it. There is a place for that type of humor, because I think that is missing a lot from our PC world that we live in now. And I don't know if people are more PC now than ever, or if it's just the fact that we have social media, and everybody is giving their opinions and telling you that you're wrong and you can't say that and you can't do this. And I often say, I can say what I want. You don't have to like it, but I can say what I want, and that's what it should be.
There's a great story about Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Who was hired to perform at someone's bar mitzvah or at some charity. And apparently the audience was horrified. And his reply was, you hire Snoop Dogg, you get Snoop Dogg.
Exactly. As it should be. And I think that, if you went to see Snoop Dogg, let's say you're a Snoop Dogg fan and you didn't get it, you'd be a little upset by it. They all would go, wasn't that funny? A little too serious. You don't want that. Deliver the goods and own up to it. Do what you do and do what and be yourself as I sit here in a wig. Be yourself. Yeah.
In all seriousness, you've become such a pop culture icon, and with the New York Times and New York Magazine, again, all kidding aside, what comes with that level of power? It's got to be some crazy amount of pressure knowing that you and a few other people like Ru and all that really are the faces of an entire community.
Well, I mean, I never really thought about it till you just banged it out at this moment. I would say that, the advantage that I have, I would say, is that I've done what I'm doing now on different levels. Obviously, I've been in a room performing for people that were just 5 of them on a Monday night in New York City, or I've been lucky enough to get to do Carnegie Hall, which it's packed. So I think those smaller gigs give you the appreciation for the larger gigs. And with exposure, there's good and bad, and I think that you have to weed out the fuckery and you have to think, all right, I'm not saving the world. I'm just doing what I do and I'm owning up to what I do. And that's kind of been my trajectory, I would say, is just to keep doing what I do. Somebody likes it, and also somebody may not like it, but it doesn't change the format of what I'm doing. So I don't necessarily feel the pressure. I think I'm my own worst critic, and as far as success is concerned, I say you're only successful if you're working on whatever level, and I say yes to everything. So even if it's a horrible scenario, it becomes a great part of the show, so you've got to say yes to it. It's just what it is. And I think that's just where I go. As long as I have things going on and I know that I have a set schedule, I'm happy,
Oh, you sound so much like my mother.
Well, it's work ethic. This as a producer and creating content and putting stuff out there. It's really a work ethic, and either you have it or you don't. I'm not saying that I'm the funniest or the most liked in this scenario or any of that, because that's where people get lost. People think, oh, I need to be this and I need to be like. No, do what you do and enjoy it and live in what you've got. The hustle is real.
Oh, that it is. So Drag Race, just to rewind a little bit, was an enormous springboard for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you've come back in the past to help the contestants and to judge and lip sync.
Yeah.
But you've also said you won't compete on the show again.
No. Would you go back to high school? No.
I'd rather die.
Right. It's like, it was a wonderful, as you said, it's an amazing springboard, an amazing platform. I came out unscathed 10 years ago, that it's like, you don't rob the same bank twice, you don't shit where you eat. And I thought this was great. Now it would be a different thing in a different moment. And I was also, at that time, I was 38. So now I'm like, oh no, I was barely fun then at 38. I can't imagine going back at 48,
Oh God.
And there's enough other contestants that can go back. So it's not dogging the show. It's going, the process. The game has changed, and the process and pressure is a little different than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it just how the sort of, and I'm going to use the word which makes me want to throw up, just so you know, because I'm not this kind of person. The art form.
Oof!
I know.
See where, yes.
Has certainly become a much larger platform and with recognition. But that also brings my next question. Are we still allowed to say drag queen? Because I know I get the shit smacked out of me every time I say it.
Well, no, I think you can. I am a drag queen. I am a drag queen who does comedy, so it works for me. I think that we now have an umbrella, and I'm with you. I'm still trying to learn all the terms and tiptoe around, how do I say, not say, or what have you. I just call everybody by their name because it's a hell of a lot easier. But for me in particular, drag queen is what I am. There's no identity issues. There's no discovery that I'm having. This is just what it is. And I think that everybody does drag for different reasons. And I'm sure if you've ever spoken to any gay person or anyone who
No,
does
really?
drag, let me tell you,
Never.
they would gladly tell you all about their fucking journey and their life and what they want to be called. But for me, it's drag queen. I have people that say, should I call you Bianca or should I call you Roy? I said, whatever name is on the check, I don't give two shits. Just hello is fine. It's just what it is.
What was your journey? What was
Ah,
what was childhood like?
Well, let's start with disappointment. I was disappointed with the cards I was dealt, and I think they were too. But I'm the fourth out of five. I'm the oldest boy. Imagine that. And my mother was from Cuba and my dad was from Honduras. So I think their idea of the American life and what the kids are supposed to be was a little different. And I was different, I guess. And so I was called a faggot ever before I sucked a dick. I was always called a faggot. So in that game, I just went my own merry way. Didn't think drag was the answer. It didn't even occur to me or comedy or any of that madness. It was just the natural progression of where I went, and then it kind of came my job. And by no means is it my identity. It's just my job. So that was kind of my journey.
What was start breaking into stand-up like? Because that is brutal.
Of course it is. But it was in a gay club. There was a drag show that I was a part of. And back in the day, there would be a host of the show and they would have a singing drag queen, they'd have a dancing drag queen, a lip sync drag queen, and always some other second-rate drag queen who was friends with the manager. So that's the cast list. And I was there.
Or fucking the manager, one or the other.
That. Yes. Yeah, that always works too. Actually, it was the manager who was fucking us by not paying us. Anyway, long story.
Well, that's a whole separate story.
That's a whole waiting late to get your money. Never fun. But there was a host that was out one night and they asked me to fill in. And basically you were there to talk to a drunk audience on a Wednesday night at midnight in New Orleans, Louisiana. And you're covering a drag queen's costume change. So you've got about 5 minutes to schmooze with the audience. And I ended up enjoying it because drunk people are your best friend when you're in a club. You can look at it as daunting and go, oh my God, they're going to attack my act. I had no act at the time. So my crowd work, so to speak, or my interaction with the people is kind of what I thoroughly enjoyed. And that's what they started to come for. So it just progressed into doing it. So it wasn't a conscious choice of, I'm having a stroke. These teeth are new. But I was thinking, this was just the easy way for me to perform. And it just so happened I was in drag.
Something I didn't know, which was that you grew up in New Orleans. Do you think in growing up in such a, and again, another word I hate, progressive culture in New Orleans, which is very, come one, come all.
Yeah.
Made you making your life decisions a little bit easier because you knew there was a built-in community to support you?
Oh, totally. And also it's the place. It's such an amazing place, obviously for food and for culture. And if you like to drink, it's the poor man's Vegas, but it's realer than Vegas. I think it was just a wonderful place to be the gay community. This is back in the day, as I said, before cell phones and before social media, where you talked to your friends and said, I'm going to meet you out at 10 p.m. And if you weren't there, they thought you were dead. This was a different world. Right. So I'm grateful that I was there in my younger years and they gave me a better sense of self. They were all drunk saying you could do anything. So it was very helpful in later years. And I go back quite often, but I have to be careful because, some people owe me money and I owe them money. So you got to just skirt into town and skirt the fuck out. But yeah, it's good times. And I'm grateful because it's also very accepting. If you can live in New Orleans, I often say if you can live in New York, you can kind of live anywhere.
I mean, could you imagine if you've been born in sort of a flyover?
Oh, girl, I can't be bothered. And to hear those people, I don't know what's worse, the people that are from Idaho or their fucking story about living in Idaho. It's just too much. It's just too much.
Did you ever have a moment where you thought, and every performer does, this is just too hard?
Yeah, every day when I'm shaving. I mean, I gotta shave balls, I gotta shave my face. And speaking of hard, my face alone is hard. But yes, it's a lot. Drag is quite a bit. There's no easy way to do it. If there is, please give me your cliff notes. Please tell me how to do it. But it is a complicated vessel, but yet in the end, it's also like this is my armor. You know, this is what I do. This is if I did it without drag, it would feel weird. I've done it when they've lost my luggage, but you still just got to plow through it. So for me, I've kind of gotten over it because it's the business side of it. You go, all right, time to put on the monkey suit. Here we go.
It's interesting you brought up when they lost your luggage. How did your how did your material land not in drag?
Oh, honey.
Because that had to be that's a tough pivot.
Well, you know, I often say, what is a drag queen without their luggage? A man. I was a fucking man. And that's what it was. So I think I was in Wisconsin of someplace, and I was performing at a remodeled Pizza Hut, which was a gay club. Because I say yes to everything, Melissa. I'm not a picky bitch.
Yeah,
it's the art form. It's the art form.
Art form. It's all for the art.
It's all for the art. So I was performing at a remodeled Pizza Hut in Wisconsin and got there, and there was only 2 flights heading into Wisconsin. I was on the early flight, and I got there, and I had about 2 hours before I had to get in drag. So they said, we don't have your luggage. I said, no worries. They go, there's a second flight coming in. It'll be at 8 o'clock. I'm like, shit, that's cutting it close. They're like, but your bags are on that flight. Don't fret. I'm like, no big deal. So I stayed in my hotel room, and then I got the call from the airline saying, it's not on that flight. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Now, you have the options of, do I cancel the gig or do I go and do the gig out of drag? And I said, listen, I have got 10 people waiting for me at a remodeled Pizza Hut. I'm going to do this show. So it was drag race moment where I said, it's a drag race mini challenge. I went to a Walmart, bought everything I could possibly get. I got construction paper to make eyelashes. I got a scarf to make a turban. I got a onesie. I had slippers, and I went on stage and did the show. So I did the best I could, but it's what it was. You know, you've got to go on with the show.
Absolutely. And anyone who has had to do that for different reasons in different areas.
Totally.
Me, I can, as I always say, a true showbiz kid when you can make 3 meals off a craft service table.
Do it. That's talent.
That's talent. I can do breakfast, lunch, and dinner and not have to repeat anything.
See, as a drag queen, I never eat when I'm going to the event, but I do scoop it up to leave later. And now when I'm on the road doing my own show, I find myself telling my assistant in the dressing room, I'm like, grab those waters, grab that. And he's like, oh, well, why are we taking it? I go, just take it. Let's just steal it.
He goes, free.
But the best is he's like, you're the one that bought it. I'm like, oh, yeah, it is my show. I forgot. So yeah, it's mine. Let's grab it.
To this day, I am so trained that I empty out a dressing room. And that's from my mom and my dad. Empty everything
That's
out.
it. Yep,
if it is
clear
not
it.
moving, I saw my mom once take a lamp. Okay.
You know what? It's a good idea. If it's not bolted, take it.
Absolutely.
And what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They have a great story now. Joan Rivers stole my lamp.
I heard also a great story about a big country performer from many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Who literally walked in and picked up the giant floral arrangement in the lobby of a hotel
and
just walked onto her bus with it.
Where are you going to go with that? What? Especially on a bus, there's no space for that. But that's God bless. God bless.
You never know.
Take what you can. Take what you can.
What do you think?
I'm thinking now, who was the big country star? Who was the big country? You'll tell me after.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Because again, it's just a story. I'd have to start using the words allegedly.
Got it. Oh, and you've already had to use all these other words today too. So it's too much.
It's just, again, it's so confusing. Do you think the increased visibility of drag performers has made it easier or harder?
Ooh. I think, listen, visibility is great. The fact that we exist in this world, I mean, coming from showbiz, you understand that we've been around forever. And there's been different pockets of people performing and stuff. And there's many before us, Jim Bailey and Charles Pierce, who were all brilliant drag performers in the early 60s and 70s. And of course, it predates all of that as well. But those performers back then, it was a different world that you traveled in. So now that it's kind of everywhere, so to speak, it's also influencing a lot of younger people to want to perform in drag, which I say the more the merrier. Do whatever you want. But it does come with with its criticisms. It is harder to find the talented ones. Not everybody is meant for the stage, as we say. Some people are great on a reality show, but it doesn't lend itself to an act or show business. So I think it's kind of like that American Idol aspect or the Voice aspect where, you know, there are some really talented people, but what's going to happen at some point, I don't know. Like as far as oversaturation, that's my big word of the day. Oversaturation seems to exist because there are so many. So for me, I'm grateful I did Drag Race 10 years ago. It was a different time. There wasn't as many franchises as far as the show was concerned. We were just the American version. So we kind of had all eyes on us because it was new and different. And now that they're on their 16th, 17th season, it's kind of exploded, which great. It's in people's living rooms. Downside, you're not going to get noticed because there's so many fucking queens in the world. So
I think you're pretty easy to notice.
Yeah.
And
I go for subtle.
Yes, and as you should.
As I should. Yeah.
No photos, no photos.
No photos, none.
Speaking of mainstream, actually, back in May you signed with Creative Artists Agency,
yes.
the big dog, CAA. Obviously this means that drag has moved beyond bars and nightclub and
totally
right. I was gonna say, and the agents are now are really buying in. Now, do you think? And I have to say this so carefully. Shout out to Steve Levine, who's your booking agent, who was my mother's booking agent. Do you think the agents are just out to make a quick buck?
Well, I think if the agent didn't, you're screwed. You want somebody that's going to work, you know? Yeah. And for me, for many years, it was me and I say assistant, but my friend that I paid too much money to, that would kind of negotiated all of my deals and all of the things that were going on. And then you get to a point where you're like, all right, I'd be nice to have somebody fight for me. And I got to say, with Steve Levine, he was lovely and great in the beginning. And he said to me, you know, first, I'm going to do some...
By the way, in the beginning.
Well, I meant he was very honest, I should say, in the beginning, by simply saying, I'm going to feel around within the company and find out who knows you, what knows you, and see if we're a good fit. And I thought, you know, that's what you want. You want somebody that's going to look out for you and also somebody who knows your best interests. And having the client roster he had before, it seemed like a good fit, but he wanted to make sure. And so with it, they sit down with you and they talk to you. And I'm like, look, I want to work. I want to work. I'll do it. I'll be a dead hooker on CSI. I will do a puppet show. Sign me up.
I've always wanted to be a body on Law and Order.
There you go. And you haven't done it? What?
Well, here, I can't be in the body bag because if they zip it up, I would have
claustrophobic.
A problem. And you can't slide me into the coroner's drawer. But I'm more than happy to be covered by a sheet.
Got it. Okay, so you just like to be laid out as dead on side of the road. Okay, got it. What about like something like Unsolved Mysteries? Would you do that, or is that too lowbrow?
I think if I'm gonna do it, I think I have to shoot high. You
have to shoot high. I hear you. You want to network primetime television. I get it.
If you shoot for the middle, you're going to end on the low. So I think I need to shoot high and be willing to pay my dues on like Forensic Files.
As you should. When I see Forensic Files is my show, I watch it no matter where I am in the country. You can always find it on any television. And I sit back and watch it. And it's just amazing. I find myself looking at people going, that's how you kill them? Luminol, you know you're going to get figured out. Like, who changes the carpet 2 days after someone goes missing? You know immediately what's going to happen. People don't know how to kill. They don't know how to kill properly. Yeah.
I was about to say you're about to go on your 60-city tour. I was going to ask, do you do any weird things? Because my mother, used to have to sleep with some of the lights on in her room.
Okay.
And she put on Forensic Files. Because she said, yes,
no matter where you are.
No matter where you are. She said it's very soothing.
It is.
Because no matter where you are, it's something that feels, that you know. That feels
familiar. Yeah. And it's the best.
At parties, between that and Law and Order, when my mother and I would be at a party and like nobody was talking to us or we didn't know what to talk about, we used to talk about committing the crimes.
There you are. You see, you watch 3 episodes, you become an expert. It's the best thing in the world. And I watched it like anytime I'm in a room. That's the one thing that I find that I have to have. And it's just TV. There. It's just there. Yeah, it's the one connection to anything in the real world. But it is fascinating. They did a reboot as they
Yes.
say, of the show, and the narrator is not the same. Does not have the same effect.
No,
I have to watch
Forensic
the old
Files.
episodes, the
Yeah,
original
Files
Forensic.
too.
But then I had a friend who says, if you like Forensic Files, and at this point I have seen every fucking episode, they're like, you should watch Unsolved Mysteries. Well, you know the problem with that, Melissa?
It's
You get to
unsolved.
the end of it. Exactly.
It's
You're trying to watch, and you're like,
unsolved.
oh, yeah, I was on this fucking journey and nothing gets solved. So yeah, problematic. Yeah. But the OG Forensic Files, that's the one. That's the one.
You and I,
that's it.
We're like this on that.
That's it.
You know, like my mom, you don't care, or you do care what you say and how you say it, because you're not really out to offend anybody. But in this environment,
yeah,
where do you find the line? Do you work out in small clubs trying out new material? Do you know sometimes, like my mother was, know where the line is, and she'd put a toe over in a club, and try and read it there. And you're about to go on this huge tour. What's your process of getting enough material? That's always the biggest problem.
Well, that's the main thing, is that you have to go out there with more than what you need. And that's the ticket. You have to go in with more than what you need. And then once you're out there, it's funny, you will always remember, I don't always remember what made them laugh, but I remember what they didn't like. So if it's something that just hits and you're like, I'll try it once, twice, perhaps. A third time never really works. You kind of feel the instincts and you feel the people out. But to go out on the road, you just have to have more than what you need. And the show in your head is like 4 hours long, you know, and then you're basically putting out fires is what you're doing, you know, and you're sampling this and you're sampling there. And it's always fascinating from when the show starts, the first day of the tour, and when it ends, what you end up with. What is the edited version? Because you have to self-edit. There's no way to fix it. You're with those people, you're live, and whether you're in America or you're in a different country, the show changes. So I leave lots of space for those moments to interact with those people. And also, so much shit goes wrong, as you know, whether it's a light cue or there's no table or there's no this, or you know what I mean? There's a fire, or there's somebody that has a heart attack. All that shit happens during the show. You've got to roll with the punches, you still have to deliver. So you just have to start out with more than what you need. And usually I say, if I'm thinking it, someone else is thinking it, that It's just, as I sit here in a wig, I'm going to say there's so much comedy in truth that you can bring out. But also self-deprecation is a huge important factor, because people are on your side. If you can make fun of yourself, girl, there's nothing anyone can say to me that I'm going to go, oh, that bothers me. Fuck off.
Where have you had that moment where, because I can only remember my mother having it once, where you say, I've gone too far?
Ooh, I think there's been a couple of times in my life where I feel like, or someone has said it's gone too far, and it made me rethink something, which is always awkward, because I usually think in the moment that I'm doing what I think is right. And that's the thing. Context is very important. I was having this conversation with someone before, where nowadays with social media, there's like a punchline or there's a moment taken, but there's no context. What's the setup? Where did we start from? Who is this person? Or what was I talking about to lead into this? But I have rethought things, but I have a new philosophy that I'm going to throw on you, which I think is the way to go about it. Is that, all right, let's say as a comedian and you say something and someone doesn't like it and they go, you're canceled, you're done, that's not funny, that's this. I go, you know what? Let's take someone like Celine Dion, for example. Wonderful songstress, lovely pop star. She performs and sings some of the best songs we love, but she's also put out some albums with some shit songs we didn't like, right? That we're like, oh, we didn't like track 3, didn't like track 4, but do we take that away and go, oh, she's not a singer anymore? It's just that not everything is going to appeal to everybody, and in the moment you think it works, but it may not work in the long run. So own it. Never apologize, but just own it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, we come from very similar philosophies. Do you feel like you can get away with a little bit more because it's a character that's saying and doing these things that are things that Roy would never say or do?
Well, you can see, I would love to be that person to say, yes, it's a character. No, I'm still a hateful bitch. I'm still a hateful bitch, but it's the packaging, I think, for them. It's the theatricality for them. I think when you're on, when you go to a party and you're expected and people are in your face and you're having a moment, but also I could be a human being, but I think the thought process is the same. So I wouldn't look at it as, but to an audience, I think they think we can laugh at it because this is not real, that it's kind of like the drag helps you get away with murder.
literally and figuratively.
Very much so.
Especially because on Forensic Files,
You know how to do it.
You would know how to do it. Exactly.
You know how to do it.
Was there ever a plan B for little Roy Haylock? What was plan B?
No, there actually is. There was no plan B. And, I think what's crazy is that this world, I didn't think I'd even be doing drag this long. It's just kind of snowballed and you just roll with what's in front of you. But I know that there is an expiration date on the drag aspect of it. I don't want to be schlepping bags. Yes. Yes, I don't want to be schlepping bags and tucking my balls for the rest of my life. It's a lot of work. So,
well, I assume you have a bag schlepper.
I do. I don't have a ball tucker. Maybe that's what I got to work on.
Is you start putting that in your backstage rider?
It will be now. It will be now.
How many everyone always is curious. How many costumes do you bring on the road?
Oh, it varies. So we're starting with this 60 dates is the first US and Canada leg. So I would say there'd probably be about 6 stage costumes. And then I do a meet and greet every night. So I do a meet and greet where you hug and schmooze with 150 to 200 people a night. So there's different looks for that as well, which would probably be about 6 to 10. So the stage stuff is the easier stuff. And then the stuff that I wear for the meet and greet, you got to be careful. You can't wear long hair because you've got people hugging you. You can't have sequins with all the shit sticking to it. So you try to make it as comfortable as you could be, because that's about 2 hours pre-show that you do all the photos and schmooze with everybody, which is great for the show in the end, because you get to schmooze with them and you find out who's in a miserable relationship. You find out who the drunk is. You find out who's in a wheelchair, and it all works out great for the show after that.
I was going to say, but people don't understand how much time and effort goes into being so glamorous.
There you go. There you go. It is taxing, but
I
do it for the people. I do it for the people.
Like when your hair gets stuck in someone's sweater, it's just always
the worst.
That's what keeps your hair up. Yeah, walk me through the process, because everybody's always curious. Like, how long does it take you after you shave?
Okay, so we've shaved everything at this point. I can get ready in an hour, Melissa.
Wow.
I can. But, there's no blending here. You just add a lash. That's the ticket. You just add a lash, because you're going to be in HD. You just add a layer. I can do it in about an hour, but I like a little longer if I'm doing a photo shoot or I'm set up. Like when you're on the road, I like to get into the venue early. I don't know how you feel. I like to get there, feel it out, set the room, have the air conditioner on, lay out all my shit, and then get in drag. So I could do it in an hour, but 2 hours is great. And that's from head to toe, like in heels, in hair, all of that. And then out to meet the people. You got to make it quick.
That is very important. Is there a Mr. Del Rio?
I am dating someone. I am dating someone. Yeah, I'm not married though. I'm not that gay. But yes, I'm dating, and the good thing is that he doesn't like anything to do with this. So it's lovely. He doesn't think I'm special on any level, which is the key to a relationship.
If your relationship takes on a long-term situation, are you going to hyphenate names?
Oh, no. That's too gay, Melissa. I'm not that gay. Damn it.
Well, I was just thinking of Monogram stationery. If I want to send you a fucking gift, I need to know how many initials have to go on the top.
Well,
Jesus.
send me the lamp your mother stole. That would be perfect.
Okay, so I put out some feelers to my listeners and to ask you questions.
Okay.
And things they really want to know that may not be covered in interviews. So bear with me here. My first question is from listener Larry A. from Palm Springs, California. How would you describe your style? Flashy, trashy, or I've got to stop day drinking?
I think I've got to stop day drinking. And also, I say for the elderly people of the audience is that it's a cross between Joan Crawford and Bozo the Clown. That's what you're getting there. So you're getting a very painted, clown-like appearance, almost death-like. If I close my eyes right now, you're going to say, she looks peaceful. Watch. See? CSI. I think so, yeah. I'd be perfect.
You looked completely peaceful. I like that.
There you go. That. So I would say that I got to stop day drinking, but yeah, that's it. That would be the best look. That's the approach. There's nothing glamorous here.
Just remember, nobody likes a quitter.
No, ain't that the truth?
Okay, the next question is from Larry A. from Galveston, Texas. Do you have a bucket list? What and who is on it?
Ooh, I don't have a bucket list, and I'm fearful of people with lists. I often think that if I'm not about like writing down goals and saying, this is what I want to do. I'm just happy to be out and about, you know, I'm happy to get through the next day. So I'm not an overachiever on that level. So bucket lists don't work for me. But as far as being in the room or having someone there that I could ridicule
or
and
someone you could kill, someone you
someone
maybe
I
want.
could, well, there's a couple people, but I would say the front runner currently is Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know,
Oh.
that's she's on the top of my list. Yeah.
I agree. So, we have another Larry A. This one
Oh
from
wow,
Akron,
what
Ohio.
a coincidence. What a coincidence.
I know. He asks, the other night when we had dinner, why didn't you offer to pick up the check? I got it last time.
He's also my parole officer. I don't know if you know this.
No,
So
I
he's
did not know that.
Larry A is keeping a close eye on me. Yes, that is, you know, the thing was he offered to pay for the dinner, so I let him roll with it. You know, and he's the one that got the senior citizen discount, so I wasn't going to complain. But you get what you get at Denny's.
He also had a follow-up. Also, did you think I wasn't going to notice that you took my credit card when I got up to use the bathroom? If things were so tough, you just could have told me.
I could have. We call it the Palm Springs surprise. It is what it is. If I have to have dinner at 3 p.m., I also want to go shopping. So I did what I had to do. Never trust a drag queen.
Yeah. This one's from Larry A., currently in the Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado.
That's my people.
Yep. If you could hook up with one celebrity, who would it be? And don't say Al Roker because he's mine.
Oof. Okay. A celebrity. Who would be a good celebrity? Oh, God. Who's
your celebrity crush?
We have to define celebrity now because everybody's a fucking celebrity in their minds. But I would say, who would be...
Legitimate celebrity.
Okay, legitimate celebrity. Who would I find attractive? Oh, God. I just can't... Who's the front runner? Who do I always talk about? I'm trying to think. There's got to be somebody that I fantasize about. I could tell you who. Oh, I can give you a list of people that it's not. It's not Ben Affleck. It's not Ben Affleck. Okay. I'm not into that. I could go the gay route and go Cheyenne Jackson, but he's gay, so it's not really a conquest. You know, you're kind of like, he'd probably do it for $20 anyway. I would say he would. Who would be the one that I would want? That would be the most exciting celebrity. This is challenging.
Brad
I can't
Pitt,
even think.
George Clooney.
Nah. Too white, too boring. No, not for them. And I also don't want to deal with Angelina. I would say, who would be David Schwimmer when he was younger? When he was younger, he was cute from Friends. Yes. Okay, now he could look like that. That's yeah, kind of nerdy looking type. But for a white man, I'm not bad at it.
There you go.
There you go.
Larry A. just texted me.
Oh, okay. Which Larry A?
Larry A. from Akron.
Akron, Ohio.
Larry A. from Akron.
Uh-huh.
And I know it was you who stole my favorite Manolo Blahniks, you bitch. You really think your giant hooves are the same size as my perfectly delicate little ballerina feet? I want them back.
Listen, if it means anything, I'm just going to let Larry A. know that I'm not wearing them as shoes. I'm wearing them as earrings because I need something to distract from my fucking face. Larry A. is my stalker, as you can see.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Any resolutions for 2024?
Oh, God. You know, this is the pressure of it. I just had a conversation with someone going, you know, we're well into January. I think I just get so sick of the people that are saying, you know, Happy New Year, enjoy New Year. It's like we're midway now. I never really make resolutions, but I'm going to say, because it's an election year, I'm going to try to be a better person. That's not going to happen. Wow, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
And am I supposed to be a good host and go like, oh, that's so heartfelt when I want to say, you're so full of shit.
I am full of shit. I'm going to say the usuals. To lose weight, go to the gym, drink less. But we know that's not going to happen. No. It's an election year, bitch. We're going to be drinking down in February. No, I don't know. You know what? My resolution is to not change anything. It's just to make it through this year alive was the biggest accomplishment that I can do. That's it. That's the only thing I can strive for. I can only hope that I make it far.
The Dead Inside Tour is on now. Visit thebiancadelrio.com for tickets. This has been such a joy.
Well, please, it's been a pleasure to chat with you. I haven't seen you in 10 years, so this means we have to do it again in the next 10 years?
You know
is that what we're planning to do?
Well, hopefully we'll both still look this good.
Oh, yes.
I'm trying to decide what to do. under here. I think I'm looking in the camera. I think
Yeah.
I'm ready for this.
Well, you know what you could do? Just wear a turtleneck. Wear a turtleneck till you decide. There you
Yeah,
go.
but I have a short neck.
Oh, but you could do a little mock neck. They exist.
Yeah,
Add a scarf. You got to dress it up.
It doesn't. I have trouble with turtlenecks.
Well, I'm interested in snatching this. See, I just want to do
Oh yeah,
that.
it's the same thing.
Yeah,
Think
there we
could get
go.
a twofer.
Let's go together, and if we die, we can then be on CSI. That would be brilliant. Or they can
and
make a story out of our show.
Exactly. And yeah, I like where we're going with this.
I think we could do it. Let's go do joint surgery and just hold her. This is what we want. Just that little bit up behind the ear. I'll get us some earrings, and no one will
just
know the whys are.
clean up the jawline.
We can work on that. We could do it. We could do it. Yeah, now you got me looking at it, bitch. Now this is not going to be fun. I have more interviews today, and I'm going to be like this the whole time, going,
Little tape.
I see it.
Bianca
I see
Del
it. I see it.
Rio, thank you so much.
Thank you, my love. Great talking with you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.